everybody, I'm Corinne Blackstone and welcome to my craft room. I'm so happy to have you here today. Before we get started, be sure that you're subscribed here on YouTube. It's totally free to subscribe. I'd love to have you as part of my crafty family. Now in today's tutorial, I'm going to show you how to make your very own custom acrylic sign. Now what's really fun about these is they could be used for a lot of different events, whether it may be a graduation, a wedding. You could even use these for signage for your business, but for this one, I'm going to do a custom drink sign for your wedding, but you can use the concepts that I teach here to create your own sign for your own use. Now, I'm going to be really honest with you. I actually kind of hate the way this came out, but I only hate it because of the paint color. I wish I would have used a different paint color, but what's really cool is I could actually get the acrylic paint off of this. I could just wash it off and it will come off of the acrylic, but I wasn't about to bother doing that. But this came out really cool otherwise. So I just think I wouldn't have maybe used this paint color, but I think it is really cool. I'm going to show it to you without the paint color as well in the video so that you can see it, because it still looks really cool without paint. You don't have to paint them. It's just an option if you want to. Now I got this at Hobby Lobby. I will link it down below, and I'll link all the products that I used in this video down below so that you can make your own sign. So without further ado, let's get started. The first thing we'll do is download these clipart drinks because we're going to use these for our sign. So I'm going to go ahead and click download, and I want to save these into my drink sign folder and click save. Now with these, you need to make sure that you extract them or unzip them. So open the folder that you downloaded and click extract all, and then just click extract. Then it's going to open up our folder that has the files that we can access. So I'm going to close the zipped folder, and we'll take a look at our different cocktail elements. Now they have them labeled by all of the different types that they are. So for this, we are going to use the Long Island, and that's going to be his drink, and then her drink will be the Cosmopolitan. So I'm going to show you how we upload those into Cricut Design Space. I am going to apologize if you hear some rumbling in the background. It is storming here, but I couldn't wait to film, so we're just going to have a little thunderstorm. Over in Cricut Design Space, we're going to click on Upload, and then we're going to choose the Upload Image option right here at the top. You can either drag and drop your files or browse for them, whatever works best for you. I'm going to go ahead and drag and drop. So we'll start with the Long Island. We'll just drag it and drop it. Now, these are PNG files, so they're going to upload a little bit differently than a SVG. So we'll go ahead and click Continue. And you're going to notice here that these do have their background removed, but we're going to correct that so that we can use these for print and cut. It's very, very simple. I'm going to click Apply and Continue. And then for this one, I want to save this as a flat graphic because we're going to use print and cut. So go ahead and click Continue. Then once it's up in this one, you can kind of change anything you want over here or add like details, but it's up to you. I'm going to leave it as is and click Upload. Now, once it's over here, I'm going to upload our second image and get ready to show you how to print and cut these because it is really easy. We're going to, again, upload our image. We're going to use the Cosmo, put that over here. And then again, just click Continue, and you're going to just click Apply and Continue. You don't have to do anything to these because their backgrounds are already removed. And we want to save it as that flat graphic and click Continue. And then we're going to click Upload again. Now, once we have both of these into our design space, I am going to size them down just so that we can see them better. I'm just going to go with 3 inches wide for now for both of them. And actually, I'm going to probably make this one a little bit smaller just so we can see them. We'll resize them in just a minute because the first thing that I want to do is get a template for our sign. So I'm going to open up my shapes, and I want to use the arch here, this little like arched squarey thing. They call it a pennant. And we need to flip this so that it's facing the right way. So I'm going to flip it vertically because our arch is at the top. Now, the sizing for our sign, it is 7 inches high and 5 inches wide. So I'm going to unlock the little scale thing. We're going to make it 5 inches wide and 7 inches high. Now, the arch may not be exactly the same size, but that's okay. It doesn't really matter. It just gives us kind of a template to work with for sizing purposes. Now, I am going to change this over to a guide, which is super helpful because it gives you the little template that you can see, but when you go to make it, it's going to ignore that completely. So now we can kind of move our drinks inside and size them down. But one thing that you can do with this is if you don't want to try to like do an offset when they're that small, because sometimes it can be a little hard to see, I make them a little bit bigger and then I'm going to add a little offset. Now the reason that we do an offset is so that Cricut Design Space is going to be able to cut around only the cup and not anything on the inside. Now this offset is too big. I don't want a lot of clear edge around it. So I'm going to make my offset really, really, really small. And you'll notice that we're going to have a lot of spaces inside of our drinks that are not going to be filled in, and that's okay. I'm going to show you how to fix that. I'm going to make this even smaller and we'll see how that looks. I really want it to be very, very tight to the edge of my sticker. That way it's not going to leave us a lot of room to have anything kind of messed with. Then I'm going to click apply. Now you're going to see that you have this offset here, which looks pretty cool, and I actually think I might use that one instead of this. It just made the lines a little thicker. So I'm going to delete the original and we'll add another offset to it, but I'm going to do the same here for our Cosmo. I just want to thicken those lines up a little bit, and a great way to do that is to use a small offset. So then I'm going to go ahead and click apply and thunder, and I'm going to go ahead and delete that. So now that we've got these, I think they look really good. Now we can add the offsets. I didn't even think to thicken them up a little bit, but I like it. I think it looks good. So let's go ahead and add the actual offset that we are going to be using. So again, I want to keep it really tight to the glass. So I'm going to keep it at that same 0.01 and click apply. Now with our offset selected, I want to go down and I want to change it from print and cut over here to a basic cut. And then what I want to do is I'm going to go to contour and I'm going to just click hide all contours once this comes up. So when I click hide all contours, you're going to see that it fills in my glass, which is exactly what I want it to do. But I don't want it to print gray. I'm going to print it white so that it prints clear. So I'm going to change my offset to white. And you'll see that it really doesn't look like a whole lot has changed, but there is just a slight edge to it, which is exactly what I wanted because I want it filled in. I want to select the white offset and the little offset we made to make it thicker, and I'm going to flatten them. Now, sometimes it can be a little hard to see your offset, which totally understandable. If you want to change the color of your background so that you can see it a little bit better, go under color and choose whichever color you want to see against the background. Doesn't matter, but it does help you see your offset a little bit better. So I'm going to go ahead and size that guy down, and we'll do the same thing over here. We're going to add the offset, and remember it was a 0.01. Sometimes it'll change it back to that default 0.25, but just remember what size you had it before. I'm going to put it at 0.01, and then once it fully like thinks about what it's doing, we're going to go and hit apply. Once I've done that, again, I want to grab this offset. I want to change it from print and cut to the basic cut. You can't contour. That just made me jump out of my skin. I have my dog too. You can't contour a print and cut, so you have to make it a basic. I'm so sorry that this video is like storm chaos, but I really wanted to make it for you. So I'm going to go ahead and click hide all contours again. Now this one had a lot of little pieces. So once it's done, you'll see again, you've got that gray background, and we're going to change this over to white. And then again, you're going to select both pieces and you're going to flatten them. And that just tells Design Space not to cut around it. Now, before I move any further, I am going to save this just in case my power goes out and anything happens. I don't want to have to go back and do this. And I just realized I typed it as signature drinks, but whatever, it's fine. I don't care. Now, we can go ahead and size these down a bit. We'll play around with the sizing a little bit more kind of as we build our sign, because we do want to, you know, kind of have everything sized well, but we're going to play around with our sign. Now, it is a little hard to see. Like, I like to make it bigger and then resize it back down, and I'll show you how to do that in a minute. But just so I can see better, I don't like to zoom. It's just not for me. So now that I've got the size a little bit bigger so that I can see a little bit better of what I'm working with, we're going to go ahead and add our text. Now keep in mind that these stickers are going to be printed on a clear sticker paper, and so only the black is going to show. They won't show white. Whatever color the sign is that you like paint it, or if you leave it clear, then it will show that behind it. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my text, and you can make your text whatever you want. It's up to you. So I think I'm going to do the first word, and I'm going to spell it right, unlike when I saved this, which is so spelled wrong. I'm going to do signature as one part of my word because I want to, I think, arc it a little bit, like curve it, and I want to use maybe a little bit more of a script text. Now, one trick that I like to use when choosing my font is I don't like to scroll through Design Space because it takes forever. So I like to use Wordmark. Now with wordmark.it, you can just simply type in whatever you want your text to say. So since I'm going to use the word signature, I'm going to type that in. Now from here, what's really great is it's going to show you all of your system fonts, meaning the fonts that are installed on your computer. It won't show you any of the Cricut fonts, but I don't tend to use those. And if you don't have Design Space access, a lot of them are not included. So I really like to use unique, different fonts that you can find all over the internet. You can get free ones, but if you're doing like selling, you need commercial use license. And I've linked a lot of websites that I like to use down below in the video's description. But I'm going to go through and find some that I like. Now for this, I want them to be a little more elegant. I want more of a fancy vibe. So like this Andrea Bellarosa, that would be a great option. So if I like it, I can click on it. And then I can click on different fonts that as I scroll through, I like, and I say that fits the vibe. And then when we're done going through the whole list, you can filter the fonts down to just look at the ones you've selected, and you can narrow it down from there. So let me go ahead and go through all of our fonts here. I'm going to find a few that I like that are maybe the vibe we're going for, and then I will show you how we filter them. Now that I've gone through all the fonts and chosen the ones that I want to look at, I click Filter Selected Fonts up here in this upper right-hand corner. Now, you guys always ask, well, how do you select what font you want to use? So the first thing that I do is I will look at that first letter, that capital letter, and see if I like it or if I hate it. And if I hate it, I get rid of it. So I hate this one. I don't like the S, and I'm going to just get rid of it. Don't like it. Now let's say you want to see it bigger. Simply click on it and you can see this a little bit bigger so you can get a better look at the item. I just don't like that S, so I'm going to get rid of it. And you can do that for as many fonts as you want. Like this one doesn't fit the vibe. I want something a little more elegant. This one's okay, so I'm going to keep that one. I don't like that. So again, you just click on them, and if you hate them, get rid of them. Like I hate that. I hate that. I don't know. It's just not the vibe I'm going for. I don't like this. I think this looks like a giant C or a G, so we'll get rid of that one. I don't think I like the S on this one either. So now that I've kind of gotten it down to some of the S's that I prefer, the next thing I do is I'll usually look at the next kind of big letter, which would for me be a T, and see if I don't like any of the T's. This T for me sort of stands out a little too much, so I don't like it. So I'm going to get rid of it. And if you get rid of it, you just click and close the, get rid of the font. I don't love that one either. I don't like the flourish at the top, so I'm going to get rid of that one as well. And you can see we're weeding it down. So now, once I've weeded down kind of the T's that I'm okay with, I'll kind of go and look at the letter G, because that's like another standout letter in the design. Now, I will say, while I like this font, I just don't love it. It's not quite what I want to go for. I think that S is a little too big. I want to go for something where the letters are a little more similar in size. So that says to me that this one's out as well. So I'm left with these 5. So I've got breathing, and when you look at this one, it's not going to cut very well on your Cricut. So that one's out because of the little holes in it. I don't know how I feel about this one, so we'll come back to that one in a second if we find something we like better. That one's pretty cute. That one's okay. This one's kind of what I want. These two are very close, this regular, rustic regular, and this Stay Wonderful. But I like the S better in the Stay Wonderful, so I think we're going to go with Stay Wonderful. So now we can head back over to Cricut Design Space. So over in Cricut Design Space, we can easily find that font by just going into our system fonts, and you just type in like the first couple letters of the font. Sometimes it doesn't come up when you search for like the first word because it's not always listed under that. So I'm going to use this Stay Wonderful. Go ahead and select it. Now it may take a minute for it to load, which is why I don't like to use Cricut Design Space to look at my fonts. Once you have the font selected, we can kind of size it however we want on to our board here. I want this part to be kind of big. Now we need to find a font for the word drinks, and then that font will also be what is like under the drinks to tell people what they are. So we want something very easy to read. I like to use a more plain font, so I'm going to put drinks. Now again, we can go right back over to wordmark.it and take a look and see what font we want to use for this. If you want to try a new font, all you have to do is up here, just select that and change this to the word that you want and hit the little arrow, and then you can close that one here. And what we want to do is click show all fonts. Whoops. And sometimes it's a little bit funky and it just loves to give you all sorts of trouble. But now what we're going to do is we're going to look for a plain font. So something simple, something not too crazy. I just want something easy to read. I want something a little more blocky maybe. So we're going to go ahead and scroll through, and I'm going to find something that I think matches the vibe. Now about halfway through, I decided I actually would rather the word be cocktails. And I think I really like this Californian Facebook bold, or well, FB bold. And I think that's the one we're going to go with, although I do kind of like this one too. So I'm going to look at both of these. So this is Bodini and California FB bold. So I'm going to head back over to Design Space and change the words. What I'm going to do is change this right now to say cocktails. And then I'm going to change this to that Bondi. So I'm going to look for B-O-N. Whoops, apparently that's not it. Let's try B-O. Sometimes you just got to kind of look for it and not screw up the word. So this would be the I don't know, Bodini, I guess. One, or I'm going to duplicate this and look at the California one and see if I like that one a little bit better. Like I said, sometimes it doesn't always find it if you look up all the letters. You sometimes have to just make it do what you want it to, and sometimes they're not actually titled correctly. So honestly, I think I'm just going to stick with that one. So we'll go with this one. I think that font looks fine with it. I want to make the word cocktails a little bit smaller, and I hate this stupid word wrapping. So we're going to go cocktails. And I want this to be like inside the word of signature. So I just want it to take up a little bit of space, but I want it to kind of sit off to the side a little bit. Now, one thing that we can do, I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger so that it's more in line with the sizing on that. I'm going to go ahead and duplicate the word signature because I kind of want to see if I do hers and his, if I think I like the way it looks. So you play around with this and figure out what you want it to look like. I don't know. So we're going to kind of play with it. So what I would do is put like his above that one, and I would do hers above this one. And the other thing that's throwing me off a little bit, I think, is the color of the font. So I'm going to change that because it is going to be white. So that way I can kind of see what it might look like a little bit better. I don't think I like the words above it, which is fine. You don't have to. You can get rid of them if you decide you don't like it. So I don't like it. So I'm going to go ahead and just, I'm going to duplicate cocktails again, because again, we're going to use that same font. And then this one is Long Island iced tea. Oops, that's not how you spell that. And I'm going to stretch this out a little bit. And because his is a little bit long, we are going to just kind of put it right there. And then I'm going to duplicate this again, and I'm going to put in her drink. So hers is the Cosmopolitan. And I do need to stretch this back out a bit. Now her drink title is quite a bit longer than his. So we will kind of want to play with these a little bit just so that they look a little more uniform. Just sort of play with them just so you're kind of happy. Now I know it's not centered. I'll center them when I actually cut these because they're going to be cut in different pieces. But I think I like it. I think it looks pretty good. I might move this down just a little. Now, this is where I kind of play with it. See if I like the way it looks. I think it looks pretty cute. Now, I'm going to do, I think, my background in more of a shade of blue. It's going to be like a dusty blue. So I'm going to go into my advanced. options and just see if I can get a color a little closer. That's pretty close. I think that's cute. I like it. I think it's going to look really nice. I think this is going to be a really fun design. Now keep in mind again that these are not going to be white. They are going to be clear, so you're going to see through them. And if you want to like get an idea of what that looks like, I'm going to go to the flatten option. I'm going to unflatten these really quick, and I'm going to change the color of the offset to the color of the background, which it's not going to be exact because I used an advanced option. But I'm going to just see if I can get it a little bit closer just so we can kind of see what it'll look like. Now, if you can't get it exactly close, which it's not always super easy to get it exactly where you need it, what you can do is you can just take this, and if you go blank canvas and select color, it'll let you select the same color that you chose on the inside. So that'll just give you a little bit of a different like view. So you'll see that these are just going to be outlines versus being filled in white. That's just a way that you can look at it, see if you like it, you know, make sure that it's what you want it to be. And it's just a good option. But I'm going to go ahead and select those and flatten them again, just so that it knows that we need those cut. Now I think it looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and just change this back to white. I think that's going to look really, really nice. Now again, I'm going to cut these in white. Now remember, we need to change everything so that it is in the right sizing, because remember, we changed the size. So the width is 5 and the height is 7. I think that's going to look really cute. We're going to color it in. Like I said, you can play with kind of the spacing of the cups. You could have added something here if you wanted to, like the last name, whatever you want to do with it. But I want mine to be a little simple. So I think it looks really, really good. Now I am going to save this again just to make sure that everything stays in place. Everything looks good. And I'm going to go ahead and click the make button so that you can see what this is all going to look like. This is our print and cut 2 items. Now, again, it's a little wasteful on materials, but I'm fine with it. I don't really care that it's going to waste a little bit of material. And then this over here is our vinyl section. Now, one thing that I will say to you that I don't always do is I don't necessarily care that I didn't attach the signature and the cocktails, but look at how close Design Space put these together. I think that's just a little close for me. So I'm just going to move these over a little bit just so I have a little more space between my words. Now these are going to be really small and really tough to weed, but I'm going to show you a trick to making sure that you weed these really well. They come out nicely. You're not going to rip any of your letters or lose any of your letters. One key is to use a good quality vinyl, which we're going to be using Starcraft HD for this. And the other is to reverse weed. So I'll show you how to do that. Let's head over to the machine and get started. We're ready to cut out our stickers. Now this was me not being able to measure. So remember, this bigger one is the correct measurement for our sign. I just had the wrong measurements. It happens. That's why I always recommend double checking. So what it's going to do is that it will read the little lines and then it'll cut around our little drink glasses. Once it's done cutting, I always just double check the cut, and it cut through beautifully. So I'm gonna go ahead and unload this, and then I'm gonna pull the stickers off of the mat. Now I'm gonna set the stickers to the side, and we need to cut out our white vinyl for our words next. Now you can use the same mat as long as it's relatively sticky. This one is not, so I'm gonna switch mats, cut out the white, and we'll weed that. Now this has really delicate designs, very thin like lines in your text. So we're going to use what's called reverse weeding. So I'm not going to weed anything away. I'm going to instead take the transfer tape and I'm going to lay my entire unweeded design onto my tape. And I'm just going to lay that down. Then I'm going to go ahead and trim this away. Simple as that. Now you'll want a squeegee on hand, but I'm not actually going to use that just yet because I like to go ahead and peel off the backing, which is the paper, but I also try to peel off the big piece of vinyl first. So before I do this and press it down with my squeegee, I fold a little corner back so that that part isn't going to be pressed into the transfer tape. So I'm just going to take this and run this over the piece of vinyl here, just kind of avoiding that corner. That way it's just easier to access the backing. Now I'm going to go ahead and peel this back, and you're going to see that some of my vinyl, which is my design, is going to stay down. Now you're going to want to have a pin pen handy as well, because certain things like this middle of this giant S are not going to always come up real easy with the backing, so you're going to want to help them along. So it's just like weeding. You just do it backwards, which is why it's called reverse weeding. So once I've got that started, I usually will ignore all the like letter centers and stuff, just because I can come back and get those later, but the big pieces like that one that were stuck definitely needed to come off. But you can see that the word signature is staying perfectly. Now this one probably would have weeded okay without doing a reverse weed, but if I have the option, I'm going to do it, and it's just going to be a little bit easier. So once I get past the word signature, so I'm just going to get all the way down here to the E, and I want to get the center out of the E. I am going to trim this off so that it is out of the way, because I don't want to have to fight with this while fighting with these little tiny letters over here. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to just go ahead and trim all of this extra junk out of the way. That way you're just not dealing with it. Sometimes it just helps to kind of get rid of anything extra that you don't need. So I am also going to get rid of this extra chunk of transfer tape down here just so it's out of my way. Now, with this section here, these are going to be a lot smaller letters, a lot tighter, really, really little. So I'm going to go ahead and give these just another quick little run over with the transfer tape here. And I'm just going to do the same thing, but I think I'm actually going to switch which way I'm peeling now that I'm looking at it. I think that we're going to peel a little bit better going this way. Now, do you see what I mean where I had that little edge folded over? This is why I have that edge folded over. It just works so much better when you can get both of them, but if you don't, that's okay. You can just go back and pull them both at the same time. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the opposite direction for these so that it's going against the wording, and that should help some with like the C's and the G's and stuff like that, but we'll still have some issues with S. So what we're going to do is, again, we're just going to very gently peel. And if you see that you're starting to get like a rip where it just didn't want to come off, that's okay. Just take your pin pen and help it along. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of this done and weeded, and we're going to go really slow because this bottom section has some really thin lines and it doesn't always love to cut amazing. So we're just going to go really slowly, and then I'll come back and we're going to apply this to our acrylic sign. We're ready to apply the design to our little arched sign. So the first thing that you want to do is there's a protective coating on both sides. Peel that off of just one side for now, and it's just a little plastic like stickiness, and you're gonna have a nice glossy side. You can see this one not glossy, that one glossy. So you want to make sure you're putting this on the glossy side. And we have our stickers. These will not have white behind them, but I'm going to go ahead and just kind of stick them down here just so I can kind of make sure they look like they're going to fit. They're going to look really, really good. Now, the first thing we got to do is place down the word signature, and that's going to be kind of close to the top. So for this, it is a little difficult to see the top of my design. So a lot of times I'll just kind of either use like something like this, or since I'm not going to use it right this second, I might use that, a little like squeegee, just to show me where the edge is so that I can judge where I want to put this. Now, getting these things straight not always super easy, but you can definitely manage. So like I said, that needs to be kind of close to the top. Now I'm gonna grab my squeegee and I'm gonna use the side with the felt. That way if I touch the acrylic at all, it's not gonna scratch that acrylic, because we definitely don't wanna do that. So we've got the word signature here. Now this does love to stick to acrylic, so you shouldn't have to worry too much about it sticking. Now this part's going to be a little tough because it's very tight. I should have moved them a little, and I realized I missed the center of a letter, which I'll get here in a second. But I need to trim these apart. And like I said, they're really tight, so I'm going to have to take my time here. Scooch that over to the side. I need the word cocktails out of here. And then I can do the wording on the drinks in just a minute. But first, I want to get this off. So like I said, just trim real careful, because these are really tiny. And then you're going to do the word cocktails, and the cocktails word goes over on the side. Now, again, I need to make sure that I get it kind of a little over from the S. I want to get it as straight as I can. That looks pretty good. Now again, use the felt side of your squeege. A, that's going to help you not kind of damage any vinyl you already have down, but B, it also isn't going to scratch that acrylic. So you got to be careful about scratching that. Go ahead and peel off your vinyl. Now, I'm going to move the drinks around a little bit because I do have them backwards, I just realized, because this one goes on this side. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of, again, use them under here just to get a general sizing like area space, so I can kind of see where I want to put these. I'm going to trim the bottom of this off just because I have some scraps of vinyl stuck to them, and I need to get that one centerpiece taken out. So Cosmopolitan is going to go here, and you want to put it up a little bit from the base because you don't want it to go on the base, because we do have a wooden base that this sits on. And I'm just going to press this down. Now most of the time you can honestly just use your fingers to press them down and they'll hold just fine. Now the A did get a little screwed up on a couple of the A's. I think we lost part of the A in the word island, but that's okay. I think it'll be fine. Let me get the center of this A out. Whoops, well, we're just going to lose that whole A. Oh dear. Oh dear. All right, getting the center of the A out didn't go well. So I'm going to try to salvage it. I'm going to shove that back where it was. I'm going to see if I can get it off when I put it on to the design. Now again, I want to put the Long Island iced tea kind of closer to the edge. And then I'm just going to kind of judge about where that word is. And I'm just going to try to get it as straight and even as I can. If it's not perfect, honestly, not a soul, but you will ever notice. Now the end did get a little screwed up in the word island. Again, I don't think a soul will ever notice. And actually, now that I'm looking at it, it's kind of messed up in all of them, so it's not a big deal. Now, like I said, I got that center of the A. I'm going to take that out. I did break it when I took it out the first time. And somehow I lost the bottom of the E. It's still on my paper, so I'm going to see if I can get the bottom of the E stuck back down. Working with really little thin fonts is not for the faint of heart, and I just realized that's really uneven, but it's okay. Now, we're going to go ahead and put down our little drink stickers. So they're going to go just like this. It's going to be really cute, but again, these aren't going to be white. They're going to be clear. So I'm going to go ahead and peel these back. Now, sometimes it's easier just to take your pin pen and peel the backing off of your stickers. Just depends on you and how you work, but I like to do it that way. Now, this isn't nerve-wracking at all. I need to make sure that I get this pretty darn straight. We don't need it to look drunk yet. And so I start at the bottom, and I don't think it's straight, but that's okay. And I, again, just sort of work my way up. Now, I'm going to take my squeegee to this, but I'll do it after I place the second one on. That way I don't accidentally, like, damage anything. So I'm going to go ahead and get the second one on. And again, we're going to place the drink picture down. Now, when I'm doing this, I'm trying to make sure I don't get any bubbles. I am not the best at not getting bubbles when I place these clear stickers down, but you can definitely do it. It just takes a little bit of practice. And since this one's more solid, I'm using my squeegee to help me push this down so that it doesn't end up with any bubbles. You could have done that with the martini glass, but with that thin line, I wasn't super confident. So again, I'm just gonna go in, and you wanna use that felt side, that way you don't damage anything. Look how cute. It's adorable. Now you can definitely paint the back of this, which I think we will do, but I want to get you some shots before I paint the back so you can see what that looks like. I'm gonna paint the back and I'm gonna use some acrylic paint. I'm gonna start with this blue. I wanna see what it looks like out of the bottle and then see if I wanna add any white to it just to lighten it up a little, because I don't think that's quite the shade of blue we want, but it's close. It's very, very close. But I think I wanna add a little bit of the white paint to it just to lighten it up a hair. I don't want to use a lot, so I just used a couple dribbles. And I'm just going to use my little silicone to stir with, just so I can not make too much of a mess. But I do think I want to add a little bit more white because that really didn't lighten it up as I had hoped. I just want to do a little more. I just didn't quite have the right shade. And what's fun too, you could also do this in like a splatter paint situation if you didn't want to try to mix your own paint, if you wanted it to look a little more marbled. There's lots of ways to paint these signs. So really, truly, paint them however you want. Do the design that you want. Make it match your colors and whatever you want. That should, I think, be light enough. I don't want it to be too light because obviously we still need to be able to see the design through it. But I think that should be good. Now I'm going to just go ahead and take my sponge brush and just wipe off paint off of the silicone. And then I do recommend using a sponge brush, and then you want to do this in pretty heavy coats. And I want to make sure I get the first coat fully on here, and then we'll do the second coat after this dries. But you want to do pretty thick coats on this. That way it doesn't have too many streaks. But that's why I like the sponge brush, because it's softer. And you want to make sure you get all the way up to the top and all the way to the edges. So as you can see, I'm just kind of running the paint along the sides and the top just to make sure that it gets all the way. And that's why I do have a silicone mat under this as well to protect my table. And I'm going to go ahead and do this. Now, if you want this to dry a little quicker, go ahead and use like a little hair dryer, a fan, all sorts of options just to get this layer to dry a little quicker. That way you can put more on. Now that I have the main color like on, I'm not super worried if my next color isn't going to be a perfect match for it. It should be close enough, but I'm going to let this dry and then I'll put another layer on. And I just want to make sure it looks like everything looks covered. All right, we're good. I'm going to let this dry and then we'll come back and do a couple more coats. Here's the sign unpainted, which, like I said, I think I really did like better, but I do think if I used a different color, I would have liked the sign more. But you can do however you want, whether you want to paint it, whether you want to leave it clear. It's really up to you, your aesthetic, your design style. I've linked everything down in the video's description that we used, including the fonts, the images, and all of the products that we used. So if you need any of those, please check the video's description. If you have any questions, please let me know in the comments down below. I'm always happy to answer this for you. Let me know what color you would paint your sign, because I don't think this blue was it, but I think there are some decorating options that would work better. I hope you all have a wonderful day, and as always, happy crafting.